In this segment, we're going to talk about organization program setup. This is right after you install eChamber. If a lot of times we'll import any data you have in a spreadsheet or whatnot to get you started. But just so you're aware of the org program setup function, it's the blue button here in the upper right. And when we click that, this is where your organization name, you put your chamber name here, address, city, state, these appear on invoices as a return. Do you have an email, your website, tax ID, tax filing? Fiscal year is important with some reports, like membership growth will be based on a fiscal year. Here you see the default new member account. This is when you add a new member. What's the default account? This is from the chart of accounts in finance. And then what is the dues renewal account? Okay, that's what is here. Now, if you're using MS Access runtime and not the full version, you should check this box because that'll give you some icons at the top for sorting and things like that. Then, of course, we have over here desired options, credit card info on billing statements, yes or no, disable deposits. This is someone that just wants to receive, use the program for invoicing and receiving payments and having that history. They do not want to use the rest of the finance for like making deposits, viewing the registers and reconciling them and paying bills and whatnot. So here you can just stop that function from even occurring. Here we can exclude all member since from website directories because there is a field up there that says member since this year. Exclude member since from web page participant list. That's for major events if you have that directory up there. Use only chamber happenings for calendar management. Chamber happenings means you're including any member that wants to post on your calendar. Like, let's say you allow a member to say, hey, they're having an event, that you will put on your calendar. Graphics calendar first. A lot of people are not using the calendar here because Google Calendar is free, and Google Calendar interfaces with a lot of other calendars, per my understanding, with like LinkedIn and whatnot. So what we've done is if you use the calendar, you can export it in a format that you can import into Google Calendar. So that just allows you to, have an event on a calendar if you want that history. Hearing impaired no longer applies. That will be going away. Resent event credits upon dues renewal. That's if they have so many. Maybe they get so many credits each year for major events, like they're a big sponsor, of the chamber. Exclude display off from search master list. There's a display on-off switch that you can, for each contact, don't show them in the searches. So you can exclude that. Start business description using keyword 1. That is there for a reason, if you want to use it. New mem definition. What defines a new member? And that is if you use the directory on the website for newest members. Is it the last 90 days, the last 120 days, last 30 days? You determine that. Then there's an info sheet that you can print out for each member, and you can say don't show the referrals unless they're at least 10. Don't show click-throughs unless they're at least 10. You don't want to give an information sheet to a member that has, no referrals. And that might be the case of a new member. They start out with 0. And then we use this map URL when we're going to the maps, the direction. And then, of course, if you're just a single computer user, you can enable auto login. There's no need to sign in if there's just one computer and everybody's using that one computer. Now, if you want, there's an insurance log and return address labels if you need them. But here's the setup checklist. The setup checklist depends, and you have to ask yourself, are you going to use finance? If you are, you can go to the finance ledgers and then define them. What are these? The first one is always checking. It is your operating account. then you can have these other ones, and you just put them in there, and you can actually view the history, and you can transfer funds from one account to another if you just to record what you did. It's not automatic with the bank. Like if you go to the bank and you transfer money from like the money market to the checking, you need to, if you want to record that and you're using full finance, you transfer the funds. Chart of accounts. And this here, the first time, takes a little few, about a minute to open, because it's getting all the data. In this case, it's getting all the data, and it'll actually tell you the amount all time for your income and expense accounts. Okay, and this is your master chart of accounts. So here's all your expenses, and a lot of people, the master equals the sub accounts, but you can have like, let's see if they do it here. No, here some people will say a master account is major events, and then if I wanted to view the sub accounts for that, they might have golf and go down like that. So here golf is golf, master is equal to the sub accounts. And then, so this basically you can simply add them by going all the way down to the bottom and start adding. Now the program does come with some basic chart of accounts. So, and in this case here, you actually have some duplicates here, which could probably be deleted, but there's two sub accounts here, so that goes into cleaning this up, which we would gladly help your organization do that. But there's some reports by description, by account type, view transactions, trial balance reports, exports, error reports. Is there any errors? This is if you're really using the full finance. If you're not using the full finance, you don't really worry about the chart of accounts too much. Then we have member dues set up, and as I said, you just add your dues, description, and how much is it. And notice one thing with this dues setup. Each year you might review the dues. Are you increasing them? Well, you don't have to go to every single member and change the dues if you're going to change them. Here we select the 6 to 15 employees is $245, and but we're going to do is we're going to update that to $255. And if I did that, I update selected dues, and I would just simply enter update by $10 and update, and now goes to $255. And what it does, here's view members by 6 to 15 employees. Notice it's all $255. I don't have to go to them one at a time. That's a nice feature of updating here. Then of course you have these options here. Are these extra things included with that membership? And you can exclude description not used on the invoice if you don't want this description on the invoice, on auto billing. Then there's other fees set up. Here you just define them, how much they cost and what chart of accounts they go to. One-time application fee. These are just information only. Do you newsletter advertising or kiosk advertising? And notice you can jump to the chart of accounts if you got to add one. And member categories. Now this is where you can add your categories. Now here, and now I'm going to show you exactly, these are, somebody started, added the record, but then didn't finish them or didn't put anything in. Notice I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to press delete, and it'll say, do you want to delete these? Yeah, because there's nothing there anyway, so that's good. And you won't see too many deletes in the program. So there are a couple of ways to do that, because we don't believe you should. Now, you do not have to use the master category. That is used if you want to show your member directory. You don't show a list of the members right away. You will show a list of these master categories. And you can have shopping, can have several of these. So then the shopping will show you all the subcategories, and then you click that on your member directory. You can also have up to 10 specialty directories based on categories. So you can define, this is what eChamber defines them as. You can define them like, notice they say lodging is our manufacturers. And then you say whatever these categories apply to that page, then you can have specialty directory on the website of our manufacturers. It'll only show you those members. And then of course there's, again, the green text buttons are reports. And that's pretty much the categories, and if you want to add one, you just simply scroll down and you just add a new one. It's as simple as that. And most chambers will just use this here category. They won't use the master category. Then of course we have member setup, and if we've imported this, now you can simply you'd have to add a member or whatnot. You can't add members here, but you can edit this information. A lot of times we import it, and maybe this gives you a snapshot view of all members, and you can go down. You can do a lot of neat things here by just saying right click and sort. Are all, yeah, these are comps. Okay, that's okay. Second of business doesn't pay anything, but you might find one that says 0 that really isn't 0, and you can do that. Same way with next invoice due, joined, anniversary, date. And what's the primary category? Yeah, they can have 5. Do they get an annual major claim? Are they quantity based? This is a way to really track those and update them maybe once a year. And then of course here you can also set other fee options for each one of those members. And the second button is it included? Yes or no? Okay. Then next, employee user setup. Who's going to use the program? All you do is add a first, last name, give them a username, and they're added. The password, the default password for all new users is password, and they can change that when they log in. Major event setup. This is where you can add events. And, to add a new event, you can scroll down here to the bottom. Oh, not here. You'd have to add the event. This is just managing the sorry about that. Then, of course, we have network event setup. This is where you define your networking events. And many networking events, like ribbon cuttings, won't cost anything, but if they cost something, you can apply them to an income account. Notice with maintaining networking events, and this is also viewable from the networking events, you can view that video, you can find out what members aren't coming to these, and maybe get the board or you or whoever to call them up and say, hey, you want to come, because if a member is not going to any events at all, the likelihood of them not rejoining is higher than someone who does attend. Then, of course, you can set up invoice messages. This is, anytime you want to print invoices, be a single or a batch, you can add a message to it. You can control the message that you put on an invoice. Inventory setup. This is where you just start adding inventory items if you want to do it. I will say not one chamber uses this. Same thing for equipment setup. Not one chamber uses this, but you can identify what the chamber owns and any inventory, papers, pens, whatever you want. But I will say nobody uses those. That ends the segment on org program setup. Thank you very much for watching and listening.